A consumer price index report released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed something we all already knew, that prices for consumers have jumped in a big way. Major inflation, 8.3% in April 2022 compared to 12 months earlier. Prices for meats, poultry, fish, and eggs are up nearly 14% compared to last year. Electricity prices are up more than 11%. Furniture costs are up nearly 16% from last year, and used cars and trucks cost more than 35% more than they did a year ago. Now, there are some positive signs for the future, but I always assumed, without really thinking about it, that the government probably had a sophisticated algorithm to figure out the precise numbers. Thinking of a team of economists in D.C. huddled in a room determining how rapidly prices are increasing across the country. Well, it turns out measuring inflation is a lot like going grocery shopping, just with a different kind of list. A new Wall Street Journal article lays it out. Hundreds of people scattered across the country spend their days poring over the costs of various goods and services. The Bureau of Labor Statistics sends these price checkers to local grocery stores, mechanic shops, hair salons every month to measure how their prices have changed over time. More than 475 so-called price checkers from around the country compile the prices of hundreds of thousands of goods and services, sending the data back to Washington to be compiled into the Consumer Price Index each month. The price checkers go through a multi-page list of data points to make sure they're pricing the same things they did the month before. For instance, a can of soup needs to be checked for 12 different specifications, including flavor, size, brand, if it's labeled organic, the material it's packaged in, and any special dietary features like low sodium or, of course, gluten-free. They're also the ones that keep eyes on shrinkflation. It's not just you. That bag of chips used to be 11 ounces. It's now down to 10. It's still priced the same, if not higher. And to be clear, these people aren't necessarily trained experts with degrees in economics. They're often just regular folks going out and doing this incredibly important research. Joining me now is the author of that Wall Street Journal piece, consumer trends reporter Rachel Wolf. Rachel, thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. So explain to us a little more about how these people do this research and who they are.
You know, it's fascinating. I got to shadow one of them a few weeks ago as she was helping to compile data for this index that we saw today, the April index. And the work that they do is just so precise. It's not a number that fell from the sky. It's not a room full of economists. It's real people who are going around asking grocery store workers, mechanics. They might even visit a funeral shop to find out how much it costs to be cremated.
Wow.
So anything that's legal, anything you could buy legally, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be pricing it.
So give me a sense of, like, what's a typical day like for one of the price checkers? Are there different people who are doing, specifically groceries and someone else who does something else, or does one person do multiple types of things?
So one person will go around to a dozen different stores over the course of a day. There are different regions that people are broken up into, but there is no grocery store expert. The woman who I was shadowing was joking that they often had to teach people things that they might not know anything about. So a vegetarian is going to have to learn a lot about meat in order to price it accurately. And they joked that they had a class on identifying different types of bras for the men who had to price women's bras. So, it's not experts in these products. It's people like you and me who are trained to have eagle eyes and really make sure that they are looking at the same exact item month over month.
But does the Bureau sort of assign the price checkers to track down the cost of specific things, or do they get to decide on their own what they want to go look at?
So it's not arbitrary. They don't just go into a store and say, I think today I'm going to look at some eggs and some pancake mix. They come armed with a really specific list of goods or services to price. So they might have a can of chicken noodle soup And they're going to have to go down that checklist to make sure they're looking at the exact can of chicken noodle soup that they looked at last month. So they'll go to the same exact store and look for the same exact item every month for 4 years. So it's far from arbitrary. They're really making sure that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
Real quick, what's the most interesting thing you learned reporting on this?
Like you, I thought it was just a room full of economists or a number that fell from the sky.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me that people were really going there and looking at the price of a bag of clementines or asking a hairstylist what highlights cost. It seems like there should be a faster way. But I think I'm convinced after spending the day with them that this is really the best way to get the most accurate prices. So I really trust the number now, having seen it.
Well, it sounds like you may know the cost of baby food based on what we're hearing in the background. I think it's no, is that a cat or is that a baby?
It's a kitten.
It's a kitten. Okay. All right. All right. I wasn't sure if it was a baby.
I lost her in the next room and she was mad about it.
All right. I wasn't sure if it was a baby or a cat. So, all right. So it's the price of cat food. Price of cat food.
Cat food.
All right.
Yeah, it's gone up.
All right. Fair enough. Rachel Wolf, great article. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.